If it is appropriate and safe, just begin to notice the breath. Take a moment with your own breath. Placing one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly as you listen for 11 minutes, noticing the sound of my cat that is making her way to my lap for this transmission. Breath in together and release the breath, allowing anything that's not for us in this session just to melt away down the legs, out of the soles of the feet and into Mother Earth. Okay, so we're in the cauldron of warming today. The cauldron of warming sits in the belly, the pelvic floor and the seat and the hips. And for me, it's the key to everything. It's the absolute key to everything. Anything that we could possibly want to achieve or be or experience or feel in this human incarnation is directly emanating and beginning here in this lower cauldron, this cauldron of warming. Now, we first learn about the cauldrons, well, the written form of the cauldrons. I believe that the cauldrons spans thousands of years. It's what would have been quite a normal vernacular or normal concept for our ancestors here in Northern Europe. Especially, I mean, we have records of it in Ireland, we have records of it in Wales and in Scotland, but I believe that this, it's mirrored. When we look at ancient cultures across the globe, it's mirrored. The idea of these three centers, these three bodily centers that allow us access to the outer realms, it's mirrored across the globe. So I think particularly, whether it was named cauldrons or not, the idea that we had vessels or containers within the body, 3 of them, that fit within the cavernous regions of our body. They fit in the chest cavity, in the head, and in the belly or the pelvic floor, the pelvic, oh my gosh, you know what I'm trying to say, cavity. So it mirrors our body and it's found across the globe. Now, in the Cauldrons of Posey, which is the Irish written reference to these cauldrons, and this is a poem written using Imbas Vrosny, which is the channeled wisdom that illuminates, and it references going up the cauldrons to access this divine wisdom, this wisdom which illuminates, in ending up in the top cauldron, the cauldron of wisdom, and channeling through the cauldron of wisdom this cosmic energy and this cosmic wisdom, which is all still true, and I practice and teach it all. However, there is an assumption made in the Cauldron of Posey that we are in touch, that to be in the lower cauldron, to be in the cauldron of warming, is the privilege of everybody, that everyone can do it, that this is the cauldron of humanity, this is the cauldron of your life force energy. Basically, to be alive is to be within it. Now, when the Cauldron of Posey was written thousands of years ago, we had a very working relationship with the land, with our food sources. It was an active daily routine to be in touch with the earth, also with the elementals, the wind, the earth, the water, the fire. We had a very intricate and daily working relationship with the things that bring us into this lower cauldron. Also with the nature around us, we would have gone to bed with the sun set. We would have got up with the sunrise, because that would have been our major source of light. We would have been very, very, it would have just been second nature to us to continually be within this lower cauldron. And also there wasn't much analysis of life that we have now, and there wasn't much lived experience outside that which you physically encountered. You would have heard the stories and the mysteries of old. You would have heard the explanations behind the mysterious things of the world. You would have heard the stories and the legends of the gods and the goddesses, but your lived experience would have been quite localized, unless you travelled as merchants or whatever. Even still, you would have met a very localized version of everywhere you encountered. And for most people, they would have lived within probably a few miles of radius, and their life would have consisted of securing the basics of life. Now, this is all lower cauldron food, this is lower cauldron energetic fuel. The earth, working the earth, being with animals, lighting your own fire, keeping your hearth going, your family, the inner circle, the people who sit with you. You would also have been very in touch with the stories of your ancestors, close ancestors and far, because again, we would have been kept within quite a small area of land. We would have had a very intricate and ancestral and generational relationship with this piece of land. And all of these things bring us into this space of the cauldron of warming. And from this solid base, this knowing who we are and knowing where we come from and knowing the land and, living in touch with the land, from that basis, we then travel up and we look to attain. Now, as I've mentioned, there wouldn't have been much call from your average villager to attain up into the wisdoms, the cauldron of wisdom, and to be trying to channel things down. They were more concerned with feeding and clothing and sheltering the people that they had around them. So when the Cauldrons of Poesy is written, there is this assumption that we're so intricately woven into this lower cauldron that the challenge then is to go upwards. My observation of modern day is that this is the area we have little to no intricate knowledge of. This is the area we are disconnected from. This is the cauldron we are disconnected from. This is the cauldron that to us holds the greatest fear. And whether that is a conscious or subconscious fear, it prevents us from being in this cauldron. And it prevents us from the magic of this cauldron and the potential. And the reality is that anything you do want to bring about in this life needs to be brought down into this cauldron and met with the fires of your creation before it can come out into the world. And so we need to foster a very conscious connection with this cauldron. It's also the cauldron that provides us with a home wherever we are. It doesn't need anyone else to keep us safe and happy and well. It is our own place of innate being. And we live in a digital world right now. You know, we're on a screen. We're constantly in the cauldron of wisdom, but we're not channeling wisdom. We're channeling data constantly. And we're up. We're from the waist up. Is my experience when I lay hands on people, is where we are activated. There's very little depth to us, and in reality, we can't channel wisdom. We certainly can't embody wisdom without a very strong relationship to the cauldron of warming. And so today I'm just going to invite you, first of all, to place hands on the cauldron of warming and begin to breathe into the hands. The breath and the touch is our magic. It's our own healing. It's our own exploration. And I invite you just to spend some time today just holding the belly, relaxing the belly, and breathing into the touch of the hands. Because first we just have to recognize that this cauldron is there. And most of us have become removed. So let's begin with just acknowledging